This is Dolynny TV early on a Saturday morning, following another victory by our Edmonton Oilers to take us to 7-1 and oh baby, 14 points, and it's not even the end of October yet. Life is good. However, you know what? Something I missed this week that still persists, because of course it's always going to persist in Edmonton Oilers land, especially if you grew up in a different era than mine, a later era than mine. Obviously, probably talking the turn of the decade, 2010s, because there's a guy out there of what people try to equate to legendary status in Edmonton Oilers territory sometimes, in terms of how they talk about him, that really maybe didn't get the ending he deserved in Edmonton, how it should have went, how, right, all the nasties of how things should have went with the Oilers in the early part of the decade. They should have been better, this, that, and the other thing. And, well, that always creates a little bit of heartache, a little bit of frustration, a little bit of, well, actually I shouldn't say a little bit, a lot of discussion. And then all of a sudden, on Wednesday Night Hockey, you have Elliote Freidman go out there. Was it Thursday? I don't know. It was somewhere in there, guys. Like I said, everything's kind of blended into the background here for me the past few days. But all of a sudden, you had Elliote Freidman go out there and speculate Taylor Hall trade is pretty much likely, right? That's my take on it. Now, that's not his exact words. Don't take that word for word from me to him. But it seems like a Taylor Hall trade at this point is pretty much likely for the New Jersey Devils, especially considering you look at how the Devils have started this season. It's been a rough go for them, right? It hasn't been exactly the friendliest of seasons at all for the New Jersey Devils. Sorry guys, I'm looking for something here and I just can't seem to find it. I want the league stats as to where the Devils sit. And yeah, the Devils sit 1-4-2, bottom of the basement, 28th overall. They just picked up Jack Hughes in the draft lottery, finishing with the first round pick in the 2019 draft, or first overall pick in the 2019 draft. And there we go. Right there, I've said some magic words, because Taylor Hall, a former Edmonton first overall pick, the first one of them all actually, back in the day. And that's maybe to the frustration that is on Taylor Hall's side, is the simple fact that, you know what, no matter what team I'm on, I keep getting first overall picks selected to my team, and we get no better. And again, right there, Jack Hughes, how much has he really helped the Devils this year? How much has he been allowed to help the Devils this year might be the bigger question, obviously, with playing on the third line when we faced the Devils, us being the Edmonton Oilers. So, to that extent, I guess let's discuss why a Taylor Hall trade would just be absolutely stupid for the Edmonton Oilers. There's a lot of easy reasons to look at it from, but it's really easy to break down several reasons why Taylor Hall being traded to the Oilers would be dumb. Let's be serious. Taylor Hall is still on that $6 million deal from back in 13-14. I think the extension was signed in 12-13 or 11-12, somewhere in there, guys. Long time ago. Time I want to forget as an Oilers fan, so don't blame me too much there. But simple fact is, he's on a $6 million deal as it sits for this year. So is that really a good pickup? Yeah, maybe. You know what? You send back Adam Larson the other way and something else, but then you're literally trading. Here's the problem. Is any Taylor Hall trade, you're going to walk away with minus, but plus Adam Larson if you keep him, right? That's the weird part. So if Ken Holland's a genius here, he could do Yes Puljujarvi, a first round pick, and I don't know, Chris Russell or Matt Benning and something prospect on the farm for Taylor Hall and Adam Larson. Sure, that's fantastic. But guys, look at this from a trade perspective. We already had Taylor Hall back in the day. So the only real thing we've gained by giving away that lot is Adam Larson. If you get Taylor Hall back, you're just washing out the Larson trade, and now it becomes Larson for whatever you give up. Logic, right? So that's the danger of it. Obviously, the fan perception is always going to be a danger of that. And that's what I don't think a lot of you guys who go out there and scream that Taylor Hall coming back to Edmonton would be such a good thing via trade, it's really not. Because in any eventuality, you're pretty much washing out one trade just to give up more for Adam Larsson. Now, yes, okay. Technically speaking, hockey doesn't work like that, and it is what it is, all things equal. Peter Chiarelli was the GM then, Ken Holland's the GM now. Two totally different scenarios, don't need to worry about it. But that's just scenario number one. Now, the other problem, too, is the cap space, guys. Even without Adam Larsson's $4 million in cap relief on the LTIR, we're within plus or minus about $500,000 of the cap at any given time this season. So you have to give up, to get Taylor Hall in there, you have to give up a minimum of $6 million in salary to get a trade to go the other way, unless there's an LTIR or something there. But think about that. Who are you giving up, right? Are you giving up? Are you giving up a guy like Adam Larsson? Are you giving up Darnell Nurse maybe, right? We've talked about Darnell Nurse for Patrick Laine. Why wouldn't you do Darnell Nurse for Taylor Hall? That I'm going to throw at you. If you're thinking that way, oh, he's an expiring UFA, that kind of... But if you're bringing him back to Edmonton, aren't you going to re-sign him? Or are you just bringing him back to hopefully inject a superstar that has a bunch of injury problems in the history of his career to help you win a cup, maybe? But are we really sitting here October 19th talking about winning the cup after a 7-1 start? Let's be a little bit more cautious, shall we? So that's that argument, right? Obviously, the cap, the salary is going to be a major, major issue in any eventuality for the Oilers this season, let alone a Taylor Hall trade. And then you've got the simple factor of, guys, like, what are you really gaining in Taylor Hall? Seriously, yeah, I said the word superstar, but what are you really gaining? He's a guy at this point who would slot in either on the first or second line, that's obvious, but is he McDavid's buddy? Is he Draisaitl's buddy? No, really not. And we do have our clicks on this team already, and you can talk about social clicks or you can talk about clicks on the ice, and that's either one's as valid as to what I just said about clicks. But Taylor Hall, guys, 7 games played, 5 points. It's the struggling New Jersey Devils. Let's not read too much into it. 37 points in 33 games last year, but again, limited by injury. And seriously, he hasn't played a full NHL season since that 15-16 year, and that was a year in which Connor McDavid missed about half the year, somehow was still in the Rookie of the Year conversation, and Taylor Hall only put up 65 points. Yeah, this is value added, right, guys? There's a couple of drawbacks to Taylor Hall in here, and you can look at his stats. He's touched 80 points twice in his career. So really, is Taylor Hall as special as we make him out to be with all that injury problems? No, he's really not. And that's just my general opinion. Then you've got the attitude side, the entitlement, that kind of thing. And to anyone who says a superstar should want to be on a cup-winning team every year, maybe fair. But guys, that's to diminish the fact that every NHL player should be on a cup-winning team every year. There should be no team sitting here not doing anything and not trying to compete for a Stanley Cup. That's the dumbest part about the current salary cap situation in the NHL, is the fact that a lot of teams choose to not compete. And this year we've seen a little bit different of a scenario where teams have just really blown up. But you think about the Ottawa Senators, you think about, to an extent, I guess, the Detroit Red Wings this year, right? Other guys, Minnesota also burning themselves out. But it's always get so high, let's gun for the cup, and then let's screw ourselves the next season. That's always been the way it's gone for about the past 5 years. And, I mean, yeah, I'm missing the obvious here. The Oilers over the past few years as well, not competing as well as they should and not doing as well. Well, guys, that's the problem, is you know what? Every NHL player should want to win a Stanley Cup. Every NHL player should want to play for a Stanley Cup contending team. It's not sitting here to say that, oh, Taylor Hall is so special, he's a superstar, he deserves to be on an NHL Cup winning team. Every player deserves to be on a Cup winning team. Every player has a story of how they got here. And just because Taylor Hall scores 80 points a season doesn't make his story any more special than the guy that sits on the fourth line, gets 5 minutes ice time a game, and gets 2 hits. That's his stat category, is 2 hits in a game. Guys, I'm sorry. No one is more special than anyone. And you can sit here and say that about Connor McDavid and stuff, but realistically, in terms of human story and the journey to the NHL, everybody is just as equal as everybody, because guess what? They got there. And a lot of hockey players in the world don't get there. So that whole aspect of Taylor Hall deserves to be on an NHL Cup winning team, no. You know what? What Taylor Hall deserves is to be the answer to some team's problems. And this is the part that really gets me, is that we're trying to think that Taylor Hall solves our problems in terms of winning a cup. Taylor Hall, over the course of his career, whether it be in New Jersey or whether it be in Edmonton, has barely figured out how to solve the problem of his team not winning. He doesn't want to take ownership for the team not winning and get things going. He just flat out decides that he wants to win a Stanley Cup elsewhere, kind of feel. That's what we're starting to get, and that's what I'm getting at people who feel, whether you be an Oilers fan or whether you be a Devils fan from days previous, whatever, that feel Taylor Hall's entitled. Well, why hasn't he solved it here? Why is it always Taylor Hall's getting traded? That's always my question. But guys, to wrap this all up with a pretty bow and pretty much explain why I feel a Taylor Hall trade for the Oilers is just stupid, is because right now, a trade in mid-season, you're giving up assets, when at the end of the year, he's a UFA and you can go out there and re-sign him. We're 7-1 after the first 10% of the season. I'm sorry, in what aspect does Taylor Hall makes us go 8-0? Are you going to sit here and tell me that's true? I don't know. We can barter out the differences, the what-ifs, and that kind of thing. But guys, I just wanted to give you my opinion on this. I know I'm late, but guys, I hope you've stuck through. If you're new to the channel and you've stuck through, I really appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Oilers coverage here on Dolynny TV. Guys, I'm Tyson. This is Dolynny TV. I will catch you in the next one.